Good evening and welcome to another Saturday evening lecture series from the Institute for Friendly Conversation on Breaking Down the Walls and Conquering Nations. When Tif Kabdwakan had the opportunity to book our guest tonight, we jumped at such a chance. A national leader of his stature doesn't come around often, especially to a community such as ours. Our guest has traveled a great distance to speak to you this evening, and luckily, for those of you who could not make it, we've been granted a generous filming grant from the Center for the Promotion of Excellent World History Classes so that we can stream it to you at home. There are so many people to thank, but I don't want to take away from his time. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Temujin, otherwise known as Genghis Khan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Thank you. All right. What a warm welcome. Thank you, Mr. Poss, for that excellent introduction. It has certainly been a pleasure visiting Chattanooga, and I look forward to trying out some of those excellent Chinese buffets you were telling me about earlier this evening. So there's the PowerPoint going. Excellent, excellent. So we're going to look tonight at just who were the Mongols. Mongols came from the area north of China known as Mongolias. Very convenient. We were nomads who basically lived by raising livestock. That's horses, sheep, and yaks. Okay. Livestock and wreaking havoc on other people. The Mongols were one of the most dominant groups of nomads ever to roam the earth. They were the first outside group to rule China, in fact. So how did they do it? This is the question we're going to have to look at. First off, we had to get unified, and we did that in the year 1206 AD, when in a meeting in the Gobi Desert, I, Temujin, was elected as Genghis Khan, which means strong ruler. Granted, you'll never hear anyone call me anything else but Genghis Khan. I was a great leader. I unified all the clans of the Mongols. I created a new legal code, which is a hard thing to do with a bunch of nomads. And I built up an army of over 100,000 trained warriors. I was smart enough to put officers in charge of these guys who were chosen based on their ability rather than their connections. Show me what you know, not who you know, that's what I say. We were a fearsome bunch who conquered much land because in addition to our skilled swordsmen, our trained horsemen had mastered shooting arrows while on horseback. How about that? Oh, we were the best horseback riders on earth. We invaded cities, looted them, burned them to the ground, and killed their leaders. You know, we were pretty terrifying, come to think of it. We were such bad news that towns surrendered without even fighting. I guess all that hard work paid off for us. We even took over northern China within 3 years. Not bad for a roving band of misfits, eh? But here's the thing. When I came into a town, yes, I killed off the leader, but I made the conquered people equal, rather than enslaving them like so many others had. Kind of a conquering hero, I like to think. Well, yada, 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 and I died a glorious death. And my vast empire gets divided up into 4 regions, and my sons rule from that point, passing down the family jewels. Their sons rule after them, and so on and so on. We stretched all the way into Europe and Persia under their rule. Heck, we even took over the Muslim city of Baghdad and into Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. We couldn't be stopped almost. We were the largest land-based empire ever. Take that, US of A. But back to China. That's what you're studying after all. In 1260 AD, my grandson Kublai Khan continued the conquest on into southern China and established the new Mongol capital of Khanbalik. Heard of it? Well, you know it better as Beijing, today's capital of China. He declared himself emperor and brought down the Sung dynasty, creating the Yuan dynasty. Yuan meant beginning, and Kublai certainly brought a few things to the table that were new. He appointed the top jobs to Mongols, no real surprise there, and the Yuan regime opened up the other government jobs to non-Chinese people. However, in keeping with the Mongol tradition of accepting others into our own culture, Confucius beliefs were respected, and those Chinese scholar officials, you remember those guys that couldn't pass that examination, those guys were allowed to keep their jobs. We practiced Buddhism, but recognized that other religions, like the Christians, the Muslims, and Hindus, they should be allowed to practice their beliefs without us persecuting them either. We were open like that. Maybe that's why we were able to create such a great trade network. Kublai Khan had always been interested in other lands and loved that Italian guy, Marco Polo, who had traveled throughout Asia and written those books about his travels. Didn't hurt that Marco Polo had written such nice things about Khanbalik. It was that trade that made Mongol China so successful. We traded tea, silk, and porcelain. You would probably refer to porcelain as your good china at the dinner table. We got back things like silver, carpets, cotton, and some spices. We were just one huge marketplace. So why aren't we still there today? Well, weak rulers. It's an age-old story, and we fell to it as well. But that's for another time. For now, if the Mongol Empire were a person being buried, what would it want on its gravestone? It would say, "Here lie the Mongol Empire, known for reinvigorated trade, bringing safety to Chinese, increased communication in the empire." Did you know we actually even created a mail system? Religious tolerance, ruthlessness. We were the most feared beings on the planet. Openly adopting new ideas and cultures. That is what allowed a small group of wandering sheep herders to become one of the world's most dominant empires ever. Oh, and if you want to throw in our restaurant chain, but I kid, that's famous Mongol humor. Thank you for your time. This has been Genghis Khan, and in the words of the great Ron Burgundy, stay classy, Signal Mountain.